Hello, my friends. I'd like to discuss the difference between a traditional letter and a modern email today.
It's all about speed, right?
You'd be right. But there's a bit more to the story.
But as soon as I thought of that, it reminded me of a story Grandpa used to tell, and it's a warning to anyone out there trying to hide a mistake. Grandpa used to tell this story about a couple who had been together forever. When the wife went out of state to help her lonely sister, she left her husband with a fridge full of food and a very specific warning: be gentle with the toaster. But as soon as she was gone, the old man hit that toaster so hard the spring snapped, launching his bread straight into the ceiling. Panicked, he spent 3 hours handwriting a beautiful, romantic letter to hide the truth, planning for it to arrive weeks later so he could replace the toaster in secret. He licked the envelope and sighed, thinking he had 3 weeks of peace, until his son took a photo of the letter and sent it as an email before he go to post office. 5 seconds later, his wife's reply popped up on the screen. The old man nearly fell out of his chair and shouted, "Lord, have mercy. I haven't even washed the ink off my hands, and she's already back talking to me." The old man squinted at the screen. "How?" "It's high-speed data, Dad. It travels at the speed of light." "Light?" The old man gasped. "I wrote about my broken toaster. If that news travels at the speed of light, your mother will be stressed before I even finish worrying about it. That's not technology, that's a trap." He learned the hard way that technology is a trap when you're trying to hide a broken toaster.
Why are we so obsessed with talking to people who aren't there? To defeat time and space, we've used everything from the literal sweat of runners to the invisible pulse of electrons. Today, we're looking at the letter, the telegram, and the email. Ancient Egyptians, pharaohs, started around 2400 BCE. This was the earliest known organized courier service. Pharaohs used runners to carry papyrus scrolls with royal decrees across the kingdom. It wasn't for the public, it was strictly for government and military orders. The first real system, the Persian Empire. Cyrus the Great, Persia, was around 550 BCE. Cyrus created a massive network of roads and post houses called chapar khana. Instead of one person running the whole way, they used a relay system. A rider would gallop to a station, swap for a fresh horse, and keep going, or pass the message to a new rider. This is where the motto, "neither snow nor rain," comes from. The first public post was the British model, by King Charles I of England, in 1635. Before this, the Royal Mail was only for the king. Charles I made it available to the general public for the first time. The first modern post office, the General Post Office, GPO, was officially established in 1660. The world's oldest operating post office at Sanquhar, Scotland. It's opened in 1712. It holds the Guinness World Record as the world's oldest post office still in operation. From 1753 to 1774, as he oversaw Britain's colonial mail service, Benjamin Franklin improved a primitive courier system connecting the 13 fragmented colonies into a more efficient organization that sped deliveries between Philadelphia and New York City to a mere 33 hours. While various local mail services existed in the colonies, the Continental Congress established the first national system. Benjamin Franklin was appointed as the first Postmaster General. On July 26, 1775, nearly a year before the Declaration of Independence. Later, President George Washington signed the Postal Service Act in 1792, which created the Post Office Department as we know it today, USPS. Back then, distance was a wall, a letter was a piece of your soul you sent into the void. If your loved one was overseas, that paper traveled by boat or a slow prop plane. You drop it in the mail and wait 2 to 3 weeks to get there. To get back the same or more. We've gone from waiting a month for a hello to looking into someone's eyes across the globe in less than a second. Your handwriting was your font. If you wanted to impress someone, you used your best copperplate script. Every loop and tail told the receiver you took your time for them. Since they couldn't send a photo, they had to draw their world. A sketch of a flower in the garden or a new car in the driveway, the beauty of the stamps. They weren't just barcodes, they were tiny pieces of national art. The wax seal shows the process of melting red wax and pressing a family or personal crest into it. The seal was the password of the 1950s. Since you are a baker, you should add a baking parallel. Handwriting is like kneading dough. You can't rush it. If you rush the dough, the bread is tough. If you rush the letter, the soul is gone. Then people need it faster. Inspired by a shipboard conversation. In 1832, Samuel Morse developed the electric telegraph by combining his own vision with the critical scientific expertise of Leonard Gale and Joseph Henry. Despite facing financial delays during the Panic of 1837 and initial technical failures with underground wiring, Morse secured federal funding in 1843 to build a line between Washington and Baltimore. By pivotally switching to overhead wires on poles and utilizing a simplified system of dots and dashes, Morse successfully demonstrated his invention in 1844, paving the way for a communication network that would eventually bridge continents within his lifetime. Samuel F. B. Morse, an American artist and inventor, launched the commercial telegraph era on May 24, 1844, by transmitting the first long-distance message, "What hath God wrought?" from the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C., to Baltimore, Maryland. He developed the electrical recording telegraph and code with partners Alfred Vail and Leonard Gale. Using telegram. Short, cold, and expensive. Or a telephone where you hoped the operator could actually find a line through the static and maybe shared a party line with 3 neighbors who could hear every word. The first public demonstration was on January 6, 1838, in Morristown, New Jersey. In 1843, Congress granted Morse $30,000 to build a test line from Washington, D.C., to Baltimore. After a failed attempt to lay wires underground, engineer Ezra Cornell suggested stringing them overhead on poles, a method that became the industry standard. The first commercial message was sent on May 24, 1844. Though it began with dots and dashes physically dented into paper tape, operators soon learned to read the code by sound. Within Morse's lifetime, the telegraph expanded across the West and eventually connected America to Europe by undersea cables. The birth of network email is most widely recognized as occurring in 1971, credited to American computer programmer Ray Tomlinson. While early forms of electronic messaging existed as far back as 1965 on single-time sharing systems, such as MIT CTSS, these were restricted to users on the same computer. Ray Tomlinson, working at BBN for ARPANET, sent the first message between 2 separate computers. He introduced the @ symbol to distinguish the user from the host computer, creating the standard user at host address format still used today. 1978, the email program. 14-year-old VA Shiva Ayyadurai developed a program he named Email. This system replicated traditional interoffice mail features, including an inbox, outbox, folders, and carbon copies. In 1982, VA Shiva Ayyadurai received the first U.S. copyright for his program named Email, which he designed to replicate a full interoffice mail system. However, it wasn't until the mid-1990s that email truly became a household tool, triggered by the explosion of the World Wide Web and user-friendly webmail services. This history remains a point of debate. Most historians credit Ray Tomlinson, 1971, with inventing networked email, the ability to send messages between different computers, while Ayyadurai maintains his claim as the inventor based on his creation of the first integrated, full-featured electronic system specifically branded as email. In the 1990s, email evolved from a technical novelty used in labs and universities into a global cultural phenomenon. This public adoption phase was driven by 3 massive shifts. Beginning in the early 90s, AOL, America Online, demystified the internet for regular families. They famously flooded mailboxes with millions of free trial CD-ROMs and floppy disks. AOL's simple interface and the iconic "You've Got Mail" voice alert, recorded by Elwood Edwards, made checking email a daily dopamine hit for millions. Initially, AOL was a closed system where you mostly emailed other AOL users, but it soon opened gateways to the wider internet. Before webmail, you usually needed special software, like Eudora or Outlook, and an account provided by your internet service provider, ISP. Hotmail, 1996, launched by Saber Bhatia and Jack Smith. Hotmail was revolutionary because it was free and browser-based. You could access your messages from any computer in the world with an internet connection, not just your home PC. Yahoo Mail, 1997. Following Hotmail's success, Yahoo launched its own service, quickly becoming a household name by linking email to its popular search portal. By 1998, email was so ingrained in society that it inspired the Hollywood romantic comedy You've Got Mail, starring Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. This era marked the transition of the letter into the digital note, forever changing how we stay in touch. Waiting for the mailman was the highlight of the day. You couldn't refresh your inbox. You just had to wait for the mailman to drop some mail. We have all the speed in the world now, but do we have the same heart? We traded the month-long wait for a world where no one is ever truly gone. We went from paper and ink to light and logic. So, I have to ask, do you miss the mystery of waiting for a letter, or are you ready for a world where distance doesn't exist?